I recently saw a video about Amari Bailey. It's one of those "where are they now" videos that I think sometimes can be premature, where it's like 2 years after a guy's out of high school, but if you can give it 3 to 4 years, it's a conversation, right? Anyways, and in this video, the guy's talking about what happened to Amari Bailey and what he's gone through, and what happened to him. Like, he was a 5 star in high school. Why isn't he an all-star in the NBA? There are a multitude of reasons as to why, and that's what I want to talk about in this video. To be clear, I'm not talking about Amari Bailey specifically. I'm talking about pretty much any high school basketball player that you've seen have the spotlight in the past 10 to 15 years. I think now that we have social media, it is taking the spotlight for high school players to another level. Like them having millions and millions of followers, where if they go to any park, any gym and play or work out, like the high school they're training at or whatever, it can go viral. They get views on everything. It's insane. Like the publicity you have as a high school athlete today, it's just absurd. And that really brings me to my first problem. One of my biggest issues with high school basketball is rankings. I'm not saying we shouldn't have rankings. I want to be clear on that. I just think the rankings are just dumb, honestly. It's unnecessary because the rankings don't really, usually, they don't break down if you are a good hooper or not. It all goes based on how many views you can get and the publicity you can bring and that kind of stuff. They really never pay attention to the actual hoopers. Like, there are so many guys who are all stars now that weren't ranked in high school or you weren't aware of because of development later, obviously. But some guys are actually good in high school and you just never hear about them because they're not running, flying around the gym, dunking on people. That's really what it comes down to. And I'll talk about the athleticism part later. But the rankings are so dumb now. They're ranking kids in like elementary school. It's absurd. Ranking fifth and sixth graders is just too much. If anything, if we're going to do rankings, it should be limited only to high school kids. That's the first part. Like, it has to be limited to high school kids only. You can't be doing middle school and definitely not elementary school. It's just dumb. Part of why the rankings are dumb too is the culture that it brings. Like, I see videos all the time of the little kids that are like 8 or 9 years old, maybe 10, and they're out there trying to have a viral moment. They're not trying to play basketball or get better or work on their skill or even just have fun and win. They care about going viral. So they can't dunk on somebody and do the head top thing. So they want to cross somebody over or start a fight. And it's really bad because if they're paying the money and their parents are footing the bill, the coaches allow it. So then this kid grows up thinking that that kind of stuff is okay. Then when he does get to the college level, I mean, he's not going anywhere. He's going to be one of those guys that transfers schools all the time and then disappears. Never hear from him again. So again, I want to be clear. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have rankings. I'm not saying that. I just think that the ranking should be based on you being an actual basketball player, not how many followers you have or the school you go to. I know that could play a factor in it, but it shouldn't be just that. And I think we've gotten to a point now where the rankings outweigh everything. And it's bad for basketball. My other big issue with high school basketball is we think a player, not even we, I don't, but a lot of people will rank a player high just because they have athleticism. We overrate athleticism in the basketball world. Like, if you're athletic and you can run and jump and dunk, people immediately will exalt you as a quality player. And the truth is, you're not a good basketball player. You can just dunk. You being athletic does not transform to you being a good basketball player. Those are two different things. I mean, the best example of this is Seventh Woods. I hate to use him as an example, but it's just the best one. This kid was super athletic very young. He never had to worry about touching backboard, or he wasn't out there all day trying to touch the rim. He was super athletic from jump. I think the first video I saw of him dunking, he was like in sixth grade or seventh grade or something like that. Had been dunking for years and wasn't like just grazing the rim. He's flying all kind of crazy dunks, being creative, and it's amazing. But the problem with the athleticism aspect is when you develop athleticism first and you don't get good at basketball, you focus on just that part of your game. You become one of those guys that's always out of control, 100 miles an hour, because you're always looking for the show. You're always looking to try to dunk on somebody. You're looking to get to the rim and get a cut or a putback dunk or a lob. And again, it can work out for you. But then you take away from basketball overall. You don't learn how to run plays or the basics, right? How to set a screen properly, how to pivot. I know it sounds stupid, like I'm talking about little basic things, but most of the guys that are high flying dunkers, they don't learn that stuff. They don't learn the basic things. That's why When they go to the college level and they're doing basic drills, the coach is like, well, you can't do a reverse pivot. You don't know how to do this. Like what's going on? They don't learn those things. And again, because the AU coach, the high school coach, knows that this kid is gonna get them a bunch of wins because he's just more athletic. And in college, it's a step up from that, right? Especially at the D1 level. You aren't going to get a bunch of opportunities to dunk. That's the truth. In college, you're going to get maybe, if it's a good game, you'll get like 3 chances to get a nice dunk off. Maybe. And all hoopers know that this is true. You don't get a bunch of fast breaks, or you're not always in the press and you in the front, you get it and it's your turn to dunk. Like, no, it's not always like that. Most of the time, you'll have like 1 or 2 chances a game to dunk. So if that's all your game has, and then it's 5% of what you experience in a college basketball game, how often can the coach put you on the floor? And I think this sucks for the players because they get hyped up and exalted and praised like they're gods in high school because they are super athletic, that they don't even think, man, I'm missing this part of my game and that part. Like, they don't even think about it. It's not something that crosses their mind. Then they get ranked super high by one of these basketball websites. Now, all of a sudden, you're ranked high and you get all this publicity and attention. You start thinking you're actually better than you are. And you don't want to go and develop or get in the gym and do basic drills. Learn how to do a bounce pass, make a bank shot. Like, so many small things that are like, that really don't matter. When all you can do is dunk, if I stop you from doing that and I take a charge on you once or twice, you're going to be sitting on the bench because you don't have a real game. You're not a basketball player. Now, the last part of this, I think where it really all comes together, is choosing the right college, right? If you're a basketball player in high school and you know in your mind, man, I got to work on my game. I need to add this or that. I got to get better in these ways. One of the best things you can do is choose a college where you will get developed. You need to be with a coach who's going to make you get better. One of my favorite coaches, if I could have played for any coach in college, Tom Izzo at Michigan State. I think he's one of the coaches that will develop you and make you a better version of yourself. You will be a better basketball player, right? Play harder, be smarter, all of those things. You're not going to just go in there and come out the same exact way. Most guys that come out of their program are developed, right? You're going to get better. I will also say Bruce Pearl at Auburn, high quality coach. You know, a lot of coaches have retired recently because of NIL and stuff like that. But I think if I had a son that was going through this cycle, I would want my son to choose a college where he can be developed over anything else. Not the amount of national TV games or how great this coach is at getting players drafted. I'm looking at development because you could be at a mid major, and if you're a high quality player, you're going to get out of there. It's that simple. And then I also think choosing the right coach to be with, it will help you when it comes to leaving school too early. Like Amari Bailey played 1 year at UCLA. I can't even tell you his coach's name, but if he went to another school, he probably would have stayed a second year. He should have. That will give him time to develop more, right? Be an actual point guard. In high school, it's really easy to run across the gym and, oh, I got to steal, a fast break dunk, and you can have 5 or 6 of those a game. It's normal. And once you do that 5 or 6 times a game for 2 weeks in a row, now you're like, oh, wow, I'm actually really good. Now you averaging 25. You know, you get half your points off fast break, a couple more off of fouls, you hit 2 threes. Now you got 20, you got a 20 ball easy, right? It's that easy in high school. But when you get to the Division 1 level, you're not even getting that many shots. You're gonna get like 12 shots, 15 shots. Like, most guys in college are not averaging 30. It's not happening. And that's why the development is so important, because the NBA scouts are looking at you like, okay, what can this guy contribute if he's not out there scoring? What can he do? Is he going to play hard on defense? Is he going to rebound? Can he play make for other guys? Right? There's so many other things you can do. But I don't think we focus on that enough at the high school level. So then guys get to college and they disappear. So many of the hoop mixtape guys, the ballers life guys, they just disappear when they get to that college level. And I mean, at the end of the bench, I know sometimes it is a coach doesn't like you and you don't want to play his style, and that part does exist. I do get that. That happens. I've seen it with my own eyes. I understand that. At the same time, a lot of these guys are trying to play with the same style they play with in the park in a real game. And like, I saw, literally remember distinctly seeing this with the Jelly Fam wave. A lot of those guys are really good in terms of pickup park basketball. Like, they're really good at that stuff. But when it comes to the fundamental parts of running a system, because a coach in college is going to want you to run a system. It's that simple. He has plays he wants you to run and a whole process to follow, all of that. You can't just come down and try to go crazy and get yours. Now, you do have those moments in close games where you got to go get a bucket. Yes, you need to have that skill. But the ability to turn it on and off, that's what you need. That's what makes you successful. Right? If you look at the NBA level, there are a lot of guys who you're like watching, like, man, this guy get a bucket. But when it's time to run an actual set, they can't run the plays and execute. I think one good player I see do this a lot, he's getting kind of better. Jaden Hardy, who's with the Mavericks right now, can go and get a bucket. Matter of fact, a more popular one, Jalen Green with the Rockets. Good player, like can get buckets. And he's one of those guys that was uber athletic in high school, like just jumping over everybody flying around. He still has that same ability in the league. Now this season, he's finally getting around to more of playmaking and sharing the ball and trying to help other guys score, being smarter on defense. Like he's becoming a basketball player now versus just being super athletic. So I just wish we, as the basketball community, I would say, would prioritize those things earlier. Like, because honestly, if you do get to the NBA level, the last thing you want is to get that rookie contract and you in and out of the G League, and then they don't want to re-sign you. That fourth year, that third year, and that team option comes up. You want them to sign you to a long-term deal, right? Even if you're a role player, right? Nothing wrong with that. Get your money. But it's so many of these guys that kind of have this fall from grace. Like they're really popular, a massive audience, a big, huge following, know a bunch of people. They're going viral on YouTube and Instagram all the time, TikTok even. Then they look up when they're in college and it's like, damn, I don't have nobody's rocking with me. And I can't imagine what it does to your mental health, to go from that, from having millions of fans, literally, to just see it dwindle down in time, right? Like everybody makes jokes about Julian Newman, but I would argue it's not even his fault the way his life has gone. I wouldn't blame him. I would blame his dad for simply not instilling the right things within him. Like if you're a guard that size, you need to be fast as hell. Like he should be outrunning everybody. You need to be able to shoot. Like he should be shooting like a Trey Young. Like literally what Trey Young is, that would have been the only way for him to be successful at the professional level. Everything Trey Young does, Chris Paul, you want to get that blueprint and copy that shit and just follow, repeat all of it. That's the only way he could have been successful. But his dad wasn't trying to take him that route. He didn't want him to get developed with other coaches. He wanted to do all of the stuff himself, start the school and everything, and we see how that turned out. And so I just want the basketball community to kind of have a better standard for what a basketball player is. What is a real hooper? It's not just somebody that can run, jump, and dunk. That's not. This is not football. Like in football, if you can run fast and catch, you're going to be all right. Somebody going to bring you along and teach you how to run some routes better. But even if you don't get really good at that, if you are fast as hell and you can catch, you can be a great receiver. If you're a D lineman and you know how to just get big dudes off of you and kill a quarterback, you're going to be all right. You got that. But for basketball, you have to be smarter between the ears. It's not me saying football players are dumb. I'm not saying that. But especially at the pro level, they have to be really smart, actually. But in basketball specifically, bro, it's so many layers to it. Athleticism isn't enough. Rankings are dumb. We just got to change the whole narrative on what makes a good basketball player actually good.